what happens if Gervonta Davis takes care of Ryan Garcia, gets the, tuck you in for a nap type of finish? What does it mean for him?
If Ryan fights really well, I think you run it back. If Tank overwhelms him, and also because he's the A side, I don't think we're going to get a rematch. Even though I still think it would be terribly profitable. Like it would make so much money, I think, because of the spectacle this is going to be. But ultimately, if it's one-sided, then what does that mean for Ryan Garcia, right? Which we're going to get into. But I think Ryan Garcia, to earn a rematch and a loss, would need to stun Tank a couple of times, account for himself well. He could get stopped and I'd feel like earn a rematch because we've seen that happen before. Like if he gets stopped in like the 8th or 9th or
Yeah.
something like that, but he accounts for himself well, wins a few rounds, is strong in there, then I think people would want to see it again later this year. The possibilities for Gervonta Davis are interesting after that, though. And let's say it's not a rematch, right? Let's say he overwhelms him, stops him, maybe relatively early, whatever. Maybe it's a Danny Jacobs, Peter Quillen situation where it's just one round, first round knockout. Boom, that's it, done. I think what I would want to see is, because I'm already anticipating Shakur Stevenson gets the winner of Devin Haney, Vasily Lomachenko for the Undisputed Lightweight Championship. I'm already assuming that. The Undisputed Lightweight Championship bout between Devin Haney and Vasily Lomachenko is in May. Shakur Stevenson just fought. The winners can pair up in like September, November, October, whatever. In the meantime, Gervonta Davis, what I think can happen is the rematch with Isaac Cruz. Then, hopefully, if everyone can come together, Gervonta Davis versus whoever wins between Devin Haney or Vasily Lomachenko and the winner of Shakur Stevenson. So whoever comes out of that sort of ESPN trio emerges as the undisputed lightweight champion. And then Gervonta Davis takes care of Isaac Cruz in a rematch or something like that. The two can see each other.
Do you want to see that rematch though, Tank and Isaac Cruz?
In 2024.
Because I'm not interested in it.
Well, here's the thing. It's like, I get that, but who else is Tank going to fight, really? Maybe it's just the Ryan Garcia rematch then, because if you think about it, the Ryan Garcia rematch, if he wins the first time, would be way more profitable than him versus Isaac Cruz for the second time.
Well, I believe the rematch clause is, I don't know this, but if you're watching and you do know it, let us know, because boxing fans, you let us know if we're wrong or not. But
and there's been conflicting reports out there regarding that, to your point. So
exactly, because I looked it up and I saw that if Tank loses, there is a rematch clause. If Ryan loses, then there isn't. Yeah. So I don't know if that is correct, because we've seen so many multiple reports of what that rematch clause could be. But my whole thing is, where does Tank want to fight? Does he want to fight at 135 or does he want to fight at 140? Because we saw him move up and fight Mario Barrios at 140. So here's the question: if he beats Ryan Garcia and has a nice finish, which a lot of people are expecting to happen this weekend, then does he move back down? And we are also expecting, like, majority of people believe Devin Haney is going to beat Lomachenko and be undisputed. So at that point, does he go and fight Devin Haney for undisputed and get those titles? Does he fight Lomachenko, or does he move up to 140 and maybe fight a guy that has said he wants to fight with him on our show? Regis Prograis said that he would love a fight with Gervonta Tank Davis because he already fought Mario Barrios and beat him. And my whole thing is, where does Tank want to fight? Because when we talk about lightweights, do we categorize him in that? Because they're fighting this at a catch weight at 136. So for me, it's hard to say what this means for Tank and where he's going to move either. I think it's likely he maybe does fight Devin Haney at one point, but I'm not interested in the Isaac Cruz fight.
I wouldn't even call the Devin Haney thing likely yet, because Shakur Stevenson could potentially beat him, but that's another story for another day. Funny you asked, because I looked at the top WBA lightweight contenders, because that is a title that Gervonta Davis currently has. So for now, I would at least categorize him as a lightweight, because he also won a title at 140 and then vacated it to stay at lightweight, though.
Yeah.
I think it's inevitable that he fights at 140 at some point, right? 140 also probably the better division right now, in terms of depth. Maybe not top end talent, but in terms of depth, which we're going to talk about right now. The top ranked WBA lightweights as of this recording, after Tank Davis is obviously the champion, and then the super champion is Devin Haney, blah, 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 boxing. Oh, these organizations. Okay, number one, Ryan Garcia, which is pretty funny. They're not even fighting for the title, but he's number one. Seriously. Frank Martin is up there, William Zepeda, Vasily Lomachenko, Shakur Stevenson, Isak Cruz. And it's like, what fight there? Because Shakur Stevenson, I don't think that's going to happen next.
Not anytime soon.
By all means, if Tank and Shakur Stevenson want to get it on later this year, fine. I just don't. Bob Arum's not going to let that happen because Shakur Stevenson's right there and waiting for the Vasily Lomachenko and Devin Haney winner. That doesn't make any sense for Top Rank. Like, it's like you have all the titles in house. You have a contender in house. Like, no, that's stupid. And does Gervonta Davis like look at this and be like, all right, I'll move up to 140. Let's do it, right? If he wins this fight. These are the top 10 guys at 140 according to BoxRec, which their ranking is a little bit different than others, but still one that I think you should take into account. Number one is Regis Prograis, who we had on the show, who you mentioned. He would love to fight Gervonta Davis. I would love to see that fight. Regis Prograis right now, promotional free agent. Jose Ramirez is second. Teofimo Lopez, Arno Barbosa, who we also had on the show. Ryan Garcia, Andy Hiraoka from Japan, Sandor Martin, Subriel Matias, Steve Spark. Those are your top 10 140 pounders. You bring that up because
they sleep it on Subriel, but go on.
yeah. You bring that up because Gervonta Davis, like, there's some interesting bouts there. In fact, you mentioned Subriel Matias just now in terms of him being slept on. Subriel Matias versus Gervonta Davis. Like, as far as like Subriel Matias' first title defense at 140 pounds, like, I'm not so sure Tank is going to win that fight. I think he'd be the favorite, but I'm not so sure. And then you look at 11 through 15, Alberto Puello is there, Jose Pedraza, Richardson Hitchens, William Zepeda, Richard Comey. So I think overall, a lot of it depends on how this actually goes in terms of him winning. But I think there are a lot of options for Tank, but there are none that are like, oh yeah, like this is a definite option for him.
There's no clear path after this fight. We don't really know where he's going to go, but we know that Gervonta Tank Davis is going to have options on how he wants to move, if he wants to officially move up to 140, or if he wants to stay at lightweight and do his thing and try to fight, Devin Haney, maybe Shakur Stevenson, because the way they're having it set up is that Shakur Stevenson will either fight Loma or Haney.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying. And it makes sense too, because like they're all in the top rank house. So those fights are easier to make, and why wouldn't they make those fights? But let's just say Shakur ends up fighting Devin Haney. If Devin Haney ends up beating Loma, and then the winner of Haney and Shakur fights Tank.
That's what I want, but I don't, promotionally, and do the fighters want to make it happen and all those questions, right? But I think that's a 2024 thing. Because I think Gervonta Davis in the meantime would probably fight somebody else, or not fight at all and just wait out the rest of the year because he's got some outside the ring stuff, I believe he's still dealing with.
Yeah, which by the way, I wanted to mention this, and I know this is a little off topic, but I'm going to make the time for it. Listen, so if Ryan Garcia was to last the full 12 rounds with Tank, and say there was a decision that was made. Now, I think on the cards, Ryan
will robbery?
Be up. Okay, let me finish. I think on the cards, there. I lost my train of thought because you cut me off here. Okay, what I was trying to say was, say if Ryan lasted the full 12 rounds with Tank, and then there was a decision to be made, because I do think Ryan Garcia is going to be leading on the cards, because Tank is going to let him win some rounds, and I think he's going to be busy. But I do think if he was to last, he would lead on the cards. That's my opinion. However, we know that Tank is in some legal trouble, right? And we don't know what's going to happen. He could do some time. He could be away from boxing from a while, to be honest with you. What if boxing was like, listen, we know Tank is going to go away for a bit. And this brings us to what happens if Ryan Garcia defeats Tank. If it goes to the cards, I think there's a possibility, even if you think Tank won, that they could give it to Ryan. because Tank might be going away for a while. And as a boxing fan,
Conspiracy theory, Shantelle.
yeah, well, I'm just saying that robberies like this happen, right? And I'm just thinking, like, for boxing, you're like, okay, well, like, one of our superstars, Tank Davis, might be going away for a while, but we got this other kid over here, Ryan Garcia, that is bringing in pay-per-view numbers, bringing in a whole entire fan base. And if it goes to the cards, like, should we give him the victory? Like, this is total conspiracy theorist shit, but this is a possibility
But
that could happen. And then we'll go into what happens. So let me know your thoughts on that. And then tell me your thoughts on what happens if Ryan Garcia wins and what it means for him.
the sport is such that such a scenario would actually not be far-fetched.
Not at all.
It wouldn't be one of the top 10 craziest things in the sport. But also I could flip it and be like, maybe they give it to Gervonta Davis and make the comeback that much sweeter because motherfuckers love when dudes are fresh out. Look at the love
Yeah.
fest that Bobby Schmurder got. You know what I'm saying? When he got out of jail, like it just kind of is what it is.
Look at when Pac got out of jail. All I'm saying
Yeah.
is that it is a possibility. Also,
If
I
he
think if it
goes,
goes,
if
I
he
think if it
goes, I
goes to
think
the
that's-
cards, I think it could also be a draw. I
Yeah,
think they'd be like draw because we want the rematch.
if he goes, because I still think we need to like see how that plays out legally. But regardless, I think with Gervonta Davis, we'll see. All right.